Information and Communication Technology Development Matrix by Catherine Fulford, Professor, University of Hawaii at Manoa. This matrix was developed as part of a IFIP UNESCO project in 2000 for Information Communication and Technology. This is the group that I worked with, and Mike Kendall was my writing partner. I'm proud to say that our part of the project has probably gained the most recognition worldwide, as it is now being used as part of the World Bank system for organizations to apply for World Bank funds for education. With the matrix, the assumption is the incorporation of ICT into the system is a dynamic process. It's a tool designed to determine the stage of ICT development in an organization or educational setting. It's designed to help you set goals for development. There are 4 approaches reflecting international trends, as this was an international group that I was working with. It's across 8 areas of ICT uses in a system. Even though this is somewhat hierarchical, starting with basic use and ending with transforming institutions, it's not to imply that this is what has to be done. This is left up to each institution to make their own decisions about what might be at the beginning stages and how they want to plan to move their institution further towards transforming. The ICT matrix is related to all areas of ICT use in a system. Everyone must work within the context of their system to determine what suits their unique situation. You must realize ICT may be on various levels in different parts of the system. Various units or courses within an institution may actually use different approaches. The approaches are emerging, applying, integrating, and transforming, and we will go through each of these. Emerging is our first area. This is the beginning stages of ICT development. This is where you've purchased some equipment and software and explore the possibilities for management and curriculum. It's grounded in traditional teacher-centered practice and curriculum that increases the basic skills of ICT. Here are some examples. Teachers lecture and provide content while students listen, take notes, and are assessed on prescribed content. School organization provides discrete time periods for each subject. Learners' access to technology is through individual teachers, and curriculum increases the basic skills and awareness of the uses of ICT. In applying, there's an understanding of the contribution of ICT to learning. ICT is used for management and curriculum. Teachers largely dominate the learning environment. There's also an increased use of subject-specific tools and software. Here's some examples. The teacher lectures supplemented with ICT, presentation programs, and word-processed handouts. Students use ICT tools to complete lessons. There are still discrete time periods. There is some flexibility to combine subjects and time periods. 1 or 2 classroom computers and computer labs. ICT is still a separate subject area, and there's an increased use of ICT in subject areas. Integrating has a range of technologies in labs, classrooms, and offices. It explores changes in personal productivity and professional practice, and begins to merge the subject areas to reflect real-world applications. Some examples are, it allows a project-based ICT enhanced approach. There's content through multiple sources, including the internet. Technology access enables learners to choose projects and ICT tools across subject areas, and it provides flexibility to combine subjects and time periods. There are more choices with regard to learning styles and pathways. Learners take more responsibility for learning and assessment. ICT is taught as a subject area at the professional level, and it begins to involve community in the learning environment and as resource providers. Transforming. This uses ICT to rethink and renew school organization. It becomes an integral part of personal productivity and professional practice. It's learner-centered and integrates subject areas in real-world applications. ICT is taught as a subject area at the professional level. It's incorporated into all vocational areas, and it serves as a center of learning for the community. Some examples of transforming Our students work with community leaders to solve local problems by accessing, analyzing, reporting, and presenting information with ICT tools. Learners' access to technology is broad and unrestricted. Learners take responsibility for their own learning and assessment. Transforming examples. ICT is taught at the professional level and incorporated into all vocational areas. The school has become a center of learning for the community. There are 8 areas of ICT development: vision, philosophy of learning and pedagogy, development plans and policies, facilities and resources, understanding of the curriculum, professional development of staff, community involvement, and assessment. First of all, vision. These are the aspirations and goals of individuals and the system as a whole. As the system advances, it becomes more unified, is written down, and provides a basis for decision-making. It helps the learning community to visualize the future and act in harmony. Philosophy of learning and pedagogy. This is the way in which teachers and students interact in the system. It characterizes the way ICT is incorporated. The control and domination of learning in ICT affects the choices of projects, resources, content, design, and tools. By the teacher is a teacher-centered philosophy, and by the learner is a learner-centered philosophy. For development plans and policies, this is how vision and philosophies are carried out, how policies are set, budget is allocated, facilities are dedicated, roles are defined, tasks are delegated, and evaluation plans set direction. This works for both interim and long-term targets. Facilities and resources. This has to do with the learning environment, the infrastructure, things like electrical wiring, internet access, lighting, air conditioning, and space. Ergonomic design. Choices of furniture impact on the use of ICT, health and well-being of the users, as well as technological devices, computers with peripherals, wireless capabilities, photo and video equipment, mobile devices, projectors or smartboards, specialized tools like digital microscopes, and etc., as well as various types of resources, software, video, sound, and images. Next is the understanding of the curriculum. This is the progression of ICT in the curriculum. Number 1, the awareness stage, ICT literacy. Number 2, basic skills, applying ICT to regular tasks. Number 3, integrate and overlap subject areas and tools, vocational use of ICT. Professional development of staff, how personal productivity and professional practice are enhanced with ICT, parallel to student development. The awareness stage, ICT literacy, basic skills, apply ICT to regular tasks, integrate and overlap subject areas and tools, and vocational use of ICT in professional practice. It's a move from discrete skills training to reflective practice and integrative professional development. Budget allocation and release time for professional development. Next is community involvement. Community involvement by parents and families, businesses, industry, government agencies, private foundations, social, religious, and professional organizations, as well as other educational institutions, vocational schools, and universities. Donations of equipment and resources, as well as human resources provided for training and technical assistance. Examples might be community evening access to computer labs, students offering training to parents, and building websites for community organizations. Opportunities to interact with local and global communities, sharing projects with remote schools, gaining and sharing knowledge with experts, conducting community and global projects. Assessment is our final area. This includes assessment of students, so it's a reflection of choices in learning pedagogy, an understanding of ICT in the curriculum, for example, project-based portfolios versus pencil and paper test. It's also overall assessment of the system. All areas in the matrix should be assessed to determine the impact on learning. It should help inform practice. It should support the management of learning. It should help determine whether outcomes have been met. It should include a review and revision process. It should also look at budget allocations, policies, and procedures for ICT and how they match with vision, philosophies, and curriculum choices. Now we're going to take a look at combinations of areas and approaches across the matrix. First of all, vision. In our emerging vision, we see it's mostly dominated by individual interest. It's limited and still very pragmatic. As we move to applying, we see that it's often driven by ICT specialists. As we move to integrating, we find that it's driven by subject specialists still in discrete areas. And yet, a transforming vision has leadership, acceptance by the entire learning community, and it's a network-centered community. Our philosophy of learning and pedagogy at the emerging level tends to be teacher-centered and didactic. In the applying area, a lot of factual knowledge-based learning, it's teacher-centered, didactic, and ICT is still a separate subject. At the integrating level, it's learner-centered and collaborative. And at the transforming level, there's critical thinking and informed decision-making. You look at the whole learner, multisensory learning styles. It's collaborative and experiential. Development plans and policies, emerging, tend to be non-existent for ICT or accidental. Many times they're restrictive policies, like who gets to use the mobile devices, and there's no planned funding. In the applying area, it still is limited, and ICT resources tend to lead. There tend to be centralized policies, and there's funding for hardware and software. It's primarily just automating existing practices. Integrating. By the time we get to integrating, there are usually individual subject plans that include ICT, more permissive policies, broadly based funding that includes teacher training. At the transforming level, ICT is integral to the overall school development plan. All students and all teachers are involved. There are more inclusive policies. ICT funding is integral to the overall school budget, and it's integral to professional development. Facilities and resources. At the emerging level, we see standalone workstations for administration, individual classrooms, computers and printers, word processing, spreadsheets, databases, and presentation software, and games. At the applying level, we've added perhaps a computer lab for ICT-specific outcomes, computers, printers, and limited peripherals, internet access, word processing, spreadsheets, databases, presentation, and ICT software. In the integrating area, we have computer labs and classroom computers, networked classrooms, an intranet and an internet, ICT and learning resource-rich learning centers, a range of devices such as digital and video cameras, scanners, graphic calculators, laptops, etc. We also have video conferencing, word processing, spreadsheets, databases, presentation software, as well as multimedia authoring, video and audio production, and a range of subject-specific software. By the time we get to transforming, we have all of these and more. We have whole school learning, ICT infrastructure with access, emphasis on a diverse set of learning environments, a wide range of current devices, includes the same as integrating and more, web-based learning spaces, brainstorming, conferencing, collaboration, and distance education, and web courseware, student self-management software. In understanding of the curriculum, in our emerging area, we have ICT literacy, awareness of software, and learning this is the responsibility of individual teachers. In the applying area, we have applying software within discrete subjects and a use of artificial and isolated context. In the integrating area, integration with non-ICT content, integrated learning systems, authentic context, problem-solving project methodology, and resources-based learning. In our transforming area, we have virtual and real-time context and new world modeling. ICT is accepted as a pedagogical agent itself, and the curriculum is delivered by the web as well as by staff. For the professional development of staff, in the emerging area, it's primarily driven by individual interest. ICT is partly funded by the school and by the teacher. In the applying area, there's ICT applications training, but it's largely unplanned, and it tends to be focused on personal ICT skills. In the integrating area, we see that it's more subject-specific, as well as developing professional skills in integrating subject areas using ICT, and it's also evolving. As we're transforming, we see a focus on learning and management of learning, self-managed and personal vision and plan, and it's school-supported, innovative and creative, and it involves an integrated learning community, students and teachers as co-learners. As for the community, In our emerging area, there might be some discrete donations, a few guest speakers, tends to be problem-driven and largely accidental. In the applying area, we might start to seek grants and donations, and there's more parental and community involvement in ICT. In a school that's integrating, we might see a more subject-based learning community providing discrete, occasional assistance by request, global and local networked communities. In the area of transforming, we have broad-based learning, a community that's actively involved, parents, families, business, industry, religious and volunteer organizations, universities, and vocational schools. It's global and local, real and virtual. School is a learning resource for the community. Assessment. Remember, assessment applies to not only the students, but also the entire system. First, in the emerging area, it tends to be didactic with discrete subjects, paper and pencil, and closed task. It's very controlled. It tends to be the responsibility of the individual teacher, and for the administration, it tends to be equipment-based and budget-oriented. Applying. It's still skills-based and teacher-centered. It does have a subject focus, and there are various reporting levels. It's moderated within subject areas. Integrating. In this assessment, it's a lot more integrated in the curriculum. The use of portfolios, subject-oriented, learner-centered. A lot of it has to do with student responsibility. Various media to demonstrate attainment, moderated across subject areas, social and ethical as well as technical. In the transforming area, assessment is continuous and holistic. It's not only the whole learner, but it's also the whole system. It's peer-mediated and learner-centered, and it's open to learning community involvement. It's open-ended and project-based. Here are some references if you'd like to learn more.